A round of applause. So the very immediate next segment is first-hand account, narratives and testimonials of various victims. We are going to start with the victims of police brutality, and this segment is going to be led by Linus Mwashigadi. Over to you.
A very good morning to all of you. We welcome you to the Citizens Assembly here today. In this session, we will get to hear from the victims themselves what they faced, their first-hand accounts. For those that are joining us virtually, we welcome you, and you can join in the conversation. For the first speaker, I'd like to call Nadia Nthia to come up and to take us through her experience and the police brutality she met during her protest. You can begin with explaining who you are, and perhaps there or here. Okay, you can just have a seat here. And then we can have a series of questions, and then we will open the floor for Q&A. For those that are here, you can join by reserving your questions, and those that are live, you can also post your questions online. Is it on?
No, it's not.
It's on. It's on. Thank you so much, Nadia, for being brave and coming forward to share some of your experiences and the police brutality that you met while you were protesting. Let's begin by you introducing yourself. Who is Nadia, and why did you protest? Let's begin from there.
Good morning. My name is Nadia Nthia. I am a lawyer. I am an advocate trainee at the Kenya School of Law, admitted to the Advocates Training Program 2024-2025. And I joined the movement majorly because I believed in the cause. We were fighting the system over economic policies that were set to disproportionate the common mwananchi. So that was my motivation. That was my motivation. We need a society that works for all of us. We need systems that work. So, yeah.
What are some of your experience, if you can recount and tell us? What did you experience?
Wow, I experienced quite a lot. I was abducted. I was abducted about 2 or so weeks ago with my partner. And according to our captors, they had been trailing me for about a week before they took me, just waiting for the order to say, okay, now you can take her. And the day before they took me, I moved out of my house temporarily. I went to stay with my partner because I believed I was gonna be safe there. But they found me even there. My phone had been off for like 2 days. I was communicating majorly with my laptop. I had my apps on my laptop. My phone was off because I had been told they were tracking me using my number. So, yeah, I was saying, sorry, ADHD. The day before they took me, I had come from school, from the Kenya School of Law. I wasn't using my phone entirely. Even the trip that I took from the Kenya School of Law to the house, my partner had to request from his phone, and I was paying for things in cash. It was crazy. I was living in fear for about a week before they took me. I was purely, entirely in hiding, but they still found me. So anyway, so at around 6 p.m. the day before, I got to the house, and something just told me, you know what, check the window, like look outside. And I checked, and I saw a silver SUV parked outside, and 3 men got out of it. So I called my partner at that time using my laptop on WhatsApp. And I told him, okay, you know what? There is a silver SUV parked outside. There are 3 guys moving around. I am scared that they're going to take me right now. I don't know what to do. So he tells me, no, just calm down, breathe, observe, text me everything, like tell me everything that's going on, I'm on my way. So I observed them for about half an hour. They were just moving around. It was like surveillance of some sort. So they were moving around, observing the area. I don't know what they were trying to find really, but that went on for like half an hour. Then they left. And around the same time they were leaving, he arrived. I was so scared. I was rooted to one spot of the living room the entire time until he got there. Then I was like, oh, Fuchs, now I can breathe. So that evening went by. It was very calm. It was peaceful. We slept.
What was your emotional state at that point?
My anxiety was so bad. I was having panic attacks after every couple of hours. It was insane because the day before they had taken my friend Shadrach, so I had a feeling that they were gonna come for me next, especially if they went through his phone. Yeah, so that evening went by it was calm, it was quiet, we slept. I wasn't able to sleep much during that period because, of course, nerves, anxiety. So at around 4 a.m., I hear movements outside. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's the neighbors coming, getting home from somewhere. And I brushed it off as nothing. And then they knocked. They knocked at our door, and I brushed that off as well. But the knocking got louder and louder, and at that point, I woke him up. I was like, they're here, they've come for me. And before that, I had typed out a tweet on my laptop that I was going to send out when they came. It was like, wamenichukua, but I didn't even have time to send that out. I didn't even have time to send that out. Yeah, so I woke him up. I told him, there's someone at the door. So he got up. I'm scared, I'm shaken. It is so loud. They wanted to break down the door at that point. They shouted something at him in Luo, nyerere something. He later told me it meant, open this door or we're gonna break it down. Mm-hmm. So he went to the door. I stayed in the bedroom, scared as hell. I'm still in my nightwear. I was fixed to that spot. I didn't know what to do. He went to the door, he opened it. As soon as he opened it, they put him down. Blindfolded him, tied him up, came in to look for me. They were 7 with guns as big as me.
Could you tell their faces?
No, I could not. They were wearing baklavas, they were masked up, so I could not see their faces at all. But I could just hear voices. It was just the voices. So they put him down, came into the bedroom looking for me. Mm-hmm. I saw their guns and, dude, I'm very short. So when I tell you their guns are as big as me, I saw them and the first thing that came to my mind was, why are they coming to get us a little girl with military-grade weapons? I'm not a terrorist. The only thing I did wrong was use my social media and my voice for a cause that I believed in, for a cause that millions of Kenyans believe in. So at that, I told you I was still in my nightwear, so they wanted to take me like that, but one of them had sense and said, no, let her get into something that's a bit warmer, more appropriate. Yeah, they didn't even want to let me dress up. They were just standing there, watching me, waiting for me to undress and give them some kind of show. They're sick people. No, but one of them, the one who had sense, mm-hmm. Yeah, the sense was constant. He told them, okay, maybe we can give her a minute to get changed. And then, yeah. So I dressed up. I just put a t-shirt and one of my official pants on and this exact jacket and a sweater, and I took one for him as well. I didn't know they were gonna take him. Initially, I thought, okay, they're just gonna come for me and he's gonna get me out. But they took him too. So I took a jacket for him and they tied us up, they blindfolded us, and we left. So it took us down the stairs.
You blindfolded from the house? From the house.
There were instances where they used to take off the blindfold, like if we went to the washroom, which we went to a lot. But yeah, so they took us into the car. I don't even know if we locked the house. I have no idea what happened after that. At that point in my head, I was just like, oh God, shit. Sorry for the colorful language, but that's what was going on in my head. So they put us in a car. I didn't know we were in the same car because later on I was told there were 3. So in my head, I was also thinking, okay, where did they take him? What are they going to do to him? Not my partner. Where did they take him? And then later on I came to realize, oh, he's right here. So calm down a bit. So they put us in the car and we drove for nearly 20 minutes, got to our destination. The entire time, these guys are hitting my head, like, usijaribu kutoa your blindfold, ukitoa utanikasirisha and you don't want to make me mad. So they're hitting my head, confirming, is this thing on? It was so tight, my head hurt so bad, my ears, it was crazy. So we got there, we sat in the car for about 10 minutes, and the entire time they're like, other guys came and they were like, oh, undo Nadia, oh, you ndo ringleader, nkasichana kadogo, haka ndo kana ringlead watu kwenda maandamano. So I'm like, at that time I'm scared, I'm like, miyaki sija ringlead mtu, that's all I kept saying. And then they took us inside. It felt like a house. So they took us inside the house and put us in a room. Later I realized there were 2 beds. So my partner was in the other one and I was on the one on the right. Still blindfolded this entire time and tied up. So they left us there for a few minutes. And then I think we were handed over. The people who took us are not the same people who were interrogating us. So we were handed over from one team to another.
I'd like to call other guys who are also in the room, Narrate and Bill Simani, to also recount on their experience as well, so that we can get the conversation going and it becomes more an engagement. Thank you so much. Let's give him a round of applause, please. Thank you so much. It's Billy, correct?
Yeah, Billy.
For coming on stage. Ernest will be joining us shortly. Just briefly recount for us how the experience was for you.
Hi, my name is Billy Simani, otherwise known as Crazy Nairobian. Okay, for me, I was, I think, the first guy to be abducted. So for me, it was more of a surprise. We had just come from a successful Thursday maandamano. So on Friday, I was still asleep throughout the day. I just woke up constantly to tweet and go back to sleep. So at 3 p.m., I think it was on 21st June, I had a knock on the door. At first, I thought it was the caretaker, because that's the only person that can knock at my door. So I went to open the door. wengine upiga simu before akuze. So I was still in my t-shirt and my short. I went to the door, opened it, and I saw it was 4 guys in balaclava. The 5th one was a lady because she had on a face mask. And the first question they asked me was, Billy? And out of shock, I answered, yes. Na hiyo time yote wameshikilia mlango. So they all rushed in. The first guy ran to the balcony. I think they thought that maybe I would escape. Then the second one went to the bedroom. And then the third one, it was this huge guy. He told me to face the wall. Alafu, they told me to sit down. And the next thing I know, I was being slapped with brand new wrist bracelets, yani pingu, nyuma. Alafu, the other guy went from my laptop and my phone. And then they started interrogating me. First, they asked me to open my phone. They wanted me to unlock my phone, but I refused. And then the whole time I was asking, nimefanya nini? Nataka nijue nimefanya nini? And they silenced me with a few rounds of claps, all of them.
Oh, wow.
And so Nika realized this is not usual, because first of all, I was just tweeting normally. hadn't done anything wrong. And then the other guy went for my t-shirt, the maandamano t-shirt, it was on my chair. I thought maybe they were taking evidence, but they wanted to use the t-shirt to cover me up. So the whole time I was pleading with them to at least let me put on some pair of trousers, but they refused. And then they asked me the last time, tufungulie simu tafadhali. And I told them, mimi mniambie kwanza mnanishikia nini ndio nijue. They silenced me once again with a few rounds of clap, all of them. And you know I live on the 7th floor. And that's the first time ever since I moved into that building that nimeiteremka stairs na I think it was a few seconds because they were too quick. I couldn't see because walikuwa wameni cover up. The next thing I know, I'm being sandwiched in the back of a car. Mm-hmm. I think there was one guy on my right, the other one on my left. And then we drove around for like 2 hours. So me, in my mind, I knew that I'm being taken out of Nairobi somewhere. And I knew this was it because first of all, they didn't introduce themselves. Second of all, I've been blindfolded. So the next thing I knew, story yangu imeisha hivyo. So we drove around for like 2 hours. Then they started whispering. And then one of them was asking for directions from someone on the phone. And then they sent him the pin. And then the next thing I know, I'm pulling up to, I don't know, one of them, they stopped the car, they came out, and then one of them was like, ni hapa? Then the others were like, yeah, ni hapa. Wakasema, sawa, toa hiyo jamaa tumalizane na yeye hapa kwa kahawa tuende kufanya kazi ingine. And I knew that was it. Mm-hmm. And then the next thing I know, I'm being taken out of the car. I was still in my t-shirt, my short, barefoot, hands tied behind my back. I've been blindfolded. The next thing I know, I'm being taken down the stairs into a room. It was a very cold room. Then they told me to lie on my stomach. They asked my name. I told them Bilisimani. The next thing, they wanted my ID number. The next thing, they asked me where I come from. I think walikuwa nataka kujua ushago ni wapi. I told them. Then they asked me nimeshikiwa wapi. So I was like, I thought these were the guys that brought me here. So I think those were the other guys that I was handed to who were asking questions. They let me lie on that floor for like an hour. Then after an hour, somebody came. They took me upstairs into, I think it was an interrogation room. Those guys at the interrogation room were a bit friendly. The guys at where I was being held up were a bit rough. So the next thing I know, I'm being sat on a chair. And then one of the guys started asking me questions. They asked me the usual question, what is your name, your ID number, where do you live, your social media handles. They wanted Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. And then the next thing they told me was, we are going to ask you questions and you're going to answer us. If you don't, first of all, this is not a police station. So they might not find you. So you have to cooperate. And I was like, this was it. So they wanted to know who was funding these protests. And I told them, no one, it's just the youth. There are people who are coming up and buying water. Some people are coming up and buying t-shirts. Watu wanajitolea tu. Then they told me, the reason why we have brought you here is because tungeongea nawe kwako, ulikuwa kichwa ngumu. First of all, we need you to unlock that phone. And I was like, mimi nataka nijue nimeshikiwa nini. And they told me once more, I'm the one asking the questions. You're going to open this phone because we want to see something. And then I just decided to open the phone for them. I told them the code. They checked. I think they were looking to see if somebody was funding us, and they didn't find anything. So they took me down to where I was being held. I think it was a downstairs. It was a very cold room. I slept there the whole night. My hands on my back, still in my short and t-shirt the whole night. So they came for me the next day. That's when they brought in tea, and then they transferred my hands to the front. And then after tea, I was taken back to the interrogation room, and then the guy was friendly enough to ask for a blanket. And then they told me, we wanted you to fast to meditate and think about your questions first. So I think now you are ready to cooperate with us and tell us what we want to know.
Perhaps, Billy, during the entire time, paint us that experience that you had that entire time, because you're talking of you being slapped at the back, you being tied up, your hands, having to sleep in a cold room the entire night. Just paint us in a minute how that experience was for you.
The whole time I was trying to think, what tweet gave me out? Like, what did I say? Because the only thing I know, I was protesting like the rest of my colleagues. So I was wondering why I was brought here. And the whole entire time, I didn't know why I was brought there. Like, I knew this was the end for me. So it was like a psychological warfare, because first of all, they removed the cuffs, the handcuffs, and then they replaced them with, they're called ziplock, zip ties. And the more I was struggling, the more they were tightening. So my hands were numb. I couldn't sleep the entire time. I was trying to like listen and know where I was, but there was no sound, no nothing. I didn't know if there was anybody in the room. So I wasn't even sure if I was in a police station or what. But I later realized the following day when they transferred the hands to the front, when I had the chance and lifted my blinds, I was in a toilet. I was actually in a toilet. It's a very small toilet. And that's where I was held the whole night. And then they would occasionally come. And when they came, they announced that they are coming, so I had to face the wall. Then they tightened the blindfolds again. They take me to the interrogation room. I think by that time, people had made enough noise on social media. I was all over, I was in the news, and they were tense at that fast, and they were telling me, your friends think that we have killed you. They are making noise all over. So we are not here to kill you. We are just trying to keep the country at peace. And they told me on Thursday, the day before they arrested me, the protest was so huge, and then goons came in at around, I think, 6, 7, and they started burning a few matatus. They started destroying properties. So in their mind, they thought that maybe we were sponsored by either a politician or someone. So they wanted to know who was this that was sponsoring the protests. And that's when I explained to them that ours is a peaceful protest. That's why we have even printed T-shirts, and we have given out a memo that anybody who is going to appear in the protests, they wakuje kama wamevaa black, so that we identify each other. And then they wanted to know how we were going to ensure that the protest was peaceful. And that's why I told them to go and look at my tweets. We had previously said that everybody should use their smartphone. If you see anybody vandalizing anything, take a picture, post it, so that when they try to pin the distraction on us, we at least have evidence. So they went through my tweets and they saw everything that we are telling people. We had even posted how people were supposed to conduct themselves during the peaceful protest. And I think that was what helped me to be alive right now.
Thank you so much, Billy. Ernest, karibu sana to the podium. Just give us a brief introduction of who you are and your participation in the protest and how it impacted you.
All right. I'm Ernest Nyerere. I'm a patriot, a lover of our country, and I work with the president of the Law Society of Kenya. My involvement in the protest was largely piecemeal because I take the work that we do with the president very seriously, and it means that you have to understand the delicate balance of sharing your views and how it can affect the responsibility, the greater responsibility that lays on the shoulder of the person that you work with. So, as a principal, I try to manage how vocally I share my views. Of course, I have very strong views, and I have my own opinions of how things should work, but I understand that extrapolations are a norm in our society. So to avoid such extrapolations, I keep my role as professional as possible, and my involvement in the protest was in supporting the work that the Council of the Law Society of Kenya was doing, and of course, under the leadership of the president. So I wouldn't say I was the number one agitator, but I supported it in a more strategic capacity in the role that I hold.
Thank you so much, Ernest. I'd like to come back to Nadia. What is your perception about civic engagement now that you have experienced police brutality, and according to you, you're protesting, it's your right. What is your perception about civic engagement after the entire police brutality?
Thank you. I believe so far we're doing well with regards educating ourselves and educating members of the society on how we can keep the people who are in these positions of power accountable and keeping the systems in check and whatnot. So civic education right now, I think, is moving in the direction that it was supposed to be moving in previously. It's better than it was before, I think also because of the incidents that we have had of people getting murdered, people getting maimed, injured, abducted like ourselves. So our society is moving in the right direction, I believe. We are moving in the right direction.
Thank you so much, Nadia. At this point, I would like to take a comment, not really a comment, but welcome at _Oduk, who's joining the conversation from X. If we could have him, please. Okay, so we're getting him through. So at this point in time, we're just opening the floor for Q&A. So if you have any questions, kindly jot it down and the person to whom you want the question directed to. So I'd like to ask Billy, perhaps, how do you think the victims of police brutality can get support, having gone through yourself police brutality?
I think most of us need like a psychological evaluation, because the moment I was released, the first thing was to switch off my phone, because I'm still paranoid at how they located me, how they even knew my house, my door. Like up to now, my phone is still off. I'm using a different line. And I haven't been staying at one place. I've been staying at different people's places because I'm still afraid, because I think that they might come back for me. So if you know anybody that has been through what we have been through, the best you can do is be there for them, support them, talk to them, because I don't think any of them want to be alone at this time.
To you, Ernest, roping you back to the conversation from a law perspective, how do you think the demonstrations should be handled from the law perspective with those that are enforcing the law, that is the police, of course?
Well, of course, we have to understand that a democratic society is the number one. is the number one, sort of dream that that our constitution envisions, and that is why we have very elaborate structures, institutions, and provisions on ensuring that the people can engage in a democratic manner and ascertain a democratic and fair and equal society. Now, we've all had the conversations that have been there about Article 37 and all the relevant constitutional provisions under the Bill of Rights with respect to participation of the people, how the people are supposed to engage. And the reality is the people of Kenya have come to an awakening that, hey, these are our rights. We gave them to ourselves, and it is upon ourselves to enjoy them. And this realization is simply because the people that have been entrusted with ascertaining the protections of these rights have failed. You look at the duty of the police under Article 244, they have to uphold constitutional standards of human rights, but is that what they do? When baddies are walking with water bottles and their iPhones and simply trying to talk about what their rights are, and you tear gas them. It's very unfortunate, Advocates trying to uphold the right to fair trial, going to police stations to represent people who, mind you, have been unlawfully arrested. Then you tear gas these lawyers, not caring for their health, not caring for their duty to the people. Then what kind of setup are you trying to put in place? We find ourselves in a situation where we stand at the risk of those in positions of power choosing when to suspend the Constitution and choosing when to adhere to it when it suits them. And therefore, it is a moment of awakening where we as the people of Kenya need to come together. We need to stand up to all the ills that have characterized our country historically and since the promulgation of the new constitution, and we need to appreciate that we have a wonderful constitution, and it is upon us to make it work for ourselves, because our political leaders have not just failed, they have refused to implement it.
Thank you so much, Ernest. Nadia, just walk us through how this entire ordeal and experience has really changed in terms of how now you view life and everything else.
My life has changed so drastically in the span of 1 month, I cannot even tell you. As Billy said, we need a lot of psychosocial support. The anxiety, constantly having to look over your shoulder, constantly being scared that people are out to get you. I also haven't stayed in my house for more than 2 days at a go since this thing started. Just jumping from relative to relative, friend to friend. I stayed with my partner also for some time. So it's crazy. As I was telling my story right now, I could feel like a panic attack was coming on, because as I recount those events in my head, I feel like I'm back there. I feel like I'm going through that again. So,
Billy, on your end, how is it for you?
It's not simple, because you walk around, everybody knows you. From the news that you are missing, everybody wants to hear your side of the story. But at the same time, you are scared because, first of all, I didn't see those guys. I didn't see any of their faces. So in a way, I can't trust anyone. I'm a bit skeptic. And now my life isn't normal because my phone has to be constantly on flight mode, because I'm getting a lot of calls, relatives, they want to know how I am. So I always reach out to my mom so that she can at least tell them that I'm okay. But at the moment, I'm moving around constantly from house to house because I don't want to be found in my house again alone.
Thank you so much. Ernest, from your end, from the Law Society of Kenya, perhaps are you looking at ways in which you can be able to get justice for people like Nadia and Billy?
Well, I'd have to say that I wouldn't want to claim to speak for the Law Society of Kenya, but I would have to admit that it is important that those who are capable and are in positions to intervene, do intervene. And of course, I appreciate my relationship with the Law Society, and being a victim myself, I think it is in order that the Law Society takes an active position in representing these people and, finding redress. Because as they've shared, the experiences were not easy. Evidently, there are violations of constitutional rights, and there must be reparations. That is what we must agree as a people, we must agree as a society. There must be reparations, there must be consequences. So I would have to say that all the things that we have experienced should not go in vain. For instance, the day I was taken is the day I knew hot water tastes good. I ordinarily do not take hot water, but it was the only thing on offer, yeah? That was the day I was reminded of how it feels kupigwa kofi ya kisogo. I have not been hit on the backside of my head since I was 9 years old, and that's quite some time back. But those reminders came in, and it was a harrowing experience, but we have capacity. We have numbers, we have capability, we have courts that are not just prepared, but are required to make sure that justice is served. And I do believe that all the partners who have taken part in putting this together, the Citizen Assembly, will work as well to ensure that the necessary reparations are found for all the victims and all the families of those who lost their lives.
Thank you so much, Ernest. I don't know if the people here have any questions to our panelists. If we could have perhaps the mic going round. If you have any question, just raise up your hand so that we can have an interactive engagement for our panelists here. Yeah, floor manager, there is a question there from the gentleman, and then we can have the lady to my left, the gentleman to my right, the first. Thank you so much. You please state your name and your question, and to whom is it directed to?
Comrades Power. I don't have a question, I just would like to do something. Can I ask the three of you to stand up and turn around and face that side? I am used to giving instructions. I was in a school in a minute. Please stand up. Come as close to the edge without falling. Okay. Just look there, don't look back. Just be present. The rest of you stand up. I want you to imagine you are back there and all these people have your back. That in that moment you could not see them, but they were all calling for your release. That none of them forgot you for that moment. And in that sense, be present to the fact that when we take a stand as human rights activists, we are never alone. There are 56 million people who are slowly beginning to find capacity to protect you. I'm not sure if this is a question, but we have your back.
Thank you so much. We have another question from the second row to my left on this other side. The lady in green, I presume. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. My name is Diana Gishengo, and just like Irongo, I have no question. And mine is to say thank you. Thank you very much for your sacrifice, for what you have done for this country. We really thank you. Nadia, erase from your mind, you did nothing wrong. You did nothing wrong in all the posts you did and what you did on the street. We celebrate you, we honor you. I think in addition to having their back, can we all pledge that the torture they went through, in addition to the people who have lost their lives, the firing of cabinet is not enough, is it? Yes. for patriots to have sat in a toilet because they demanded good governance. Parliament must go. For all the wrong investments in military guns to silence us, we need a new budget. Not the one that he's referring to. We need a new budget. And finally, if the president could not apologize for this, he said they were fake. Look at these people. They are here, we can see them. Does he deserve to be our president? No. Ruto must? No. Thank you.
Thank you for those opinions. Any other round of questions? Okay.
People power. People power. People power. Thank you very much. My name is Brian Okeja. Actually, we really don't even need to ask questions. We need to speak our hearts here. What we are dealing with in this country is a kleptomaniac bunch of bones and muscles. That is what we are dealing with in this country. We are dealing with a government that has a massive disdain for rule of law. I can tell you there are just a few of us, but so many people suffered. Myself, I was hit by a canister. I lost balance. I almost broke my knee. I was clobbered on the back by a rungu. I was washed with that pink water. Iliniwasha hadi makende. What they have done, that they have arrested our people, they have tortured us, they have killed us. But what they don't know is this, that when we made the decision to come out of our houses, we knew that the fight for democracy is very expensive. And we are ready to pay the ultimate price. We knew that we would either come back home safe or not come back at all. But that will not deter us from anything. We will continue. They can kill us, but they cannot kill this movement. They can torture us, but they cannot kill this liberation. They can kill us. The worst thing that they can ever do to us is to kill this bunch of bones and muscle. This is a body, but they can never touch our soul. We will die and we will reincarnate. We will come back and be born in this same country. We are not going to accept any nonsense. And what we are saying is this, that as the youth of this nation, as the Gen Zs, our allegiance, our obeisance, our loyalty and fidelity is to the flag of this nation, is the flag of Kenya, and to no one else and to nothing else. People power. Say with me, I am a revolutionary. I am a revolutionary. I am a revolutionary. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. Before we continue, I'd like to invite Rocha Madza, who is the student president, to just give his comments. The mic is there, please, if you could. The mic is there, please. Thank you.
Comrades power, comrades power, comrades Tibim, comrades Ria, comrades Ria. I'd first like to take this chance to thank the organizers for this event, and I'm very honored. And if I may recount on what we underwent when we were going for the demonstrations, we were rallying ourselves through the main campus, where we were able to organize ourselves and get some masks and water. And what we were mainly agitating for as students, apart from the finance bill, is mainly the new funding model, which has been really affecting us. And even as the president has dissolved his cabinet, we are still saying there is more to be done. Am I wrong, comrades? Because as we are sitting right now, we can't afford school fees as students. And what we're calling for the president to do is he dissolves and he abolishes the new funding model, which is really affecting the needy. Because if education is an equalizer, then why then should we segregate, and why then should we group students based on how financially they are? Because as you are speaking, the first years in medicine school who are paying 612,000 shillings, half of them have deferred from their class because they're expected to pay 30% of that, which is about 200,000 shillings. So where I come from Kwale, that is in Zombo. My parents, maybe they sell mangoes to earn a living. So they really can't afford these school fees, and we are killing their dreams. So as we are here, let us also agitate for that in the X and other avenues, that we still need change, and this is the right time. And I'd urge all of us, let's not kill the movement, because the country is still in shambles, and we can't say we have won yet. Much has to be done, and mine is to urge all the comrades that we'll do this until we get to where we are, because this is our nation, and we must fight for our justice. And for all those who are affected, we have been praying for you, and I'm sure everything will be well. And for all those few remarks, let me thank you for organizing the event. Have a lovely day. Na safari ni ya Ikulu, na we reject the new funding model. Comrades power. Comrades power. We want free education because it's a basic need for all of us. Ama ni uongo? Yes, so thank you na mbarikiwe sana.
Thank you so much, Rocha, for those comments. Please reserve your comments and your questions. Of course, the engagement and discussions are still ongoing. At this point, I'd like to begin with Nadia. What are your closing remarks? And perhaps the leaders that are watching you today, what is your message to them?
We owe it to ourselves and to our fallen comrades to see this thing through to the end. This movement is not about one person, it is not about two people, it is about all of us collectively. We need systems that work. We need a country that works for all of us, not just a select few. So, yeah, they can maim us, they can injure us, they can murder us, but they cannot stop this movement.
Billy, on your end, your closing remarks to those that are watching, what are you telling them, especially the policymakers, those that are in charge?
Okay, first of all, I would like to thank everyone for all the noises that you made while you were abducted. So, and all I can say is that together we are powerful. The noises that we are making behind our keyboards, behind our phones, they are very powerful, and we are seeing the effects, like they are working. So all I can tell all the comrades, don't give up. This thing is working. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Ernest, from your end, your closing remarks and the calls continues, and perhaps what is the way forward from your end?
I think there is a defiance that comes with knowing that you are doing what is right and knowing that you are fighting and standing for something. Standing at that door after it opened, seeing 8 men armed with military-grade weapons, the fear went out of me because I knew I had done nothing wrong and I knew there was nothing I could do. I was helpless, but I was sure that if that was the end, it was for doing nothing wrong. We, the people of Kenya, will continue to do what is right. We will continue to fight for what we deserve, and we will continue to use our brains because our ingenuity is what sets us apart from those who have fought before us. We will not just come at you in the streets. We will use our brains. We will fight you in courts. We will use technology. We will stop you from making this country move in the right direction by whatever means available to us. We are the smartest, we are the strongest, we are the best this country has to offer. Na tutashuka na watu.
Thank you so much, Ernest, for those remarks. Please, let's give them a round of applause. It's not easy, and we wish you well, even as you get the psychological help that you need to get yourself through the next phases of your life. At this point, I'd like to call Giuliani as we take a very short breather, and then we will continue with our conversation. So keep your questions there. We will get to them. So at this point, we are going to just take a breather and then invite Giuliani on the stage. Thank you so much.
our children rest in peace. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
Njia zangu yatengeze, yale siwezi yasongeze, wewe ndiye nguvu ya wanyonge. Ewe Mungu wajua, njia zangu yatengeze, yale siwezi yasongeze, wewe ndiye nguvu ya wanyonge. Hatuko nawe, they took you away. La 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 salama, hatuko na wewe, they took you away. Tapatana machozi ya jana. Mungu abariki, asante man. Mnisede kuimba isawa. Shagala bagala. Niko tayari kulipa gharama, sitasimama maovu ya kitawala. Sitasimama maovu ya kitawala. Ufisadi, ubinafsi, ukabila, kuuza sura wataki kuuza sera. Undugu ni kufaana, sitasimama maovu ya kitawala. Sitasimama maovu ya kitawala. Hatuget wadhifa, una deserve, bila kashama kashfa. Hii society Kenya wanaeza, share ni nyungu ya busa ama ketol ya shisha. Mfuko unasikia eko, unajua thamani ya mali na size ya kifuli. Eyo, ujaibiwa jua unakaa kitu. What? Risking jail time, police bullets for. Unaweza argue, crime doesn't pay, lakini wezi dismiss justice in a bay. Mwizi ana 40 days, 365 days later, anaendelea kugrow fatter. Do anything for power, ready to lose their head for presidency. Bora waione kwa currency. Sababu gani siko affected na turbulence? Flanga ni mezo the same feeling. Matatu zikipitia portal mtaani. Julian, yeah, nisaidie. Gala bagala, niko tayari kulipa gharama. Sitasimama maovu ya kitawala. Sitasimama maovu ya kitawala. Ufisadi sura wataki kuuza sera. Undugu ni kufana. Sitasimama DJ wapi kidero when you need to slap somebody? Complain ufisadi, kwani ulidhani 50 bob leso t-shirt siku ya campaign ilikuwa free? Ni 5-year loan investment, utalipa kingia parliament. We are one, ama ni we are wana. Utumishi kwa wote, utu missing, CCTV we were watching. Racial insecurity na job opportunity ni kamti ya kibiriti. Side moja heavy, usiniambie Kenya kuna umaskini, kwani hizi fat fingers zinaibia nane? Maskando zina threaten our survival. Media define leadership, na surukia ka front page na improve leadership. Ambia sawa Twitter wa hashtag hii, ama hash reality doesn't make a good TT. Commission of Inquiry, walikula commission bila kutupa ukweli. Ni kubaya, mpaka kukiwa kuzuri unashindwa nini mbaya. Machozi ya perpetrator inaweza dilute damu ya victim ilimwagika. Machozi ya perpetrator inaweza dilute damu ya victim ilimwagika. After all is said and done, all will be said and nothing will be done. Niko njaa hata si owe hae shagala bagala. Niko tayari kulipa gharama, sitasimama maovu. Ala, sitasimama maovu. Ufisadi, ubinafsi, ukabila, kuuza hataki kuuza sera. Undugu ni kufana, sitasimama maovu ya kitawala. Sitasimama maovu ya kitawala. Mungu awabariki, au sio? Nataka tu since niko na mic, acha tu nikimbele mbele hapa, si ndio? Nataka tu mseme kama sisi, sawa? Si ndio? Kutabadilishana nani kama? 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 Mungu awabariki, au sio? Alafu, it's my pleasure to introduce the one and only, the President LSK, the amazing Faith Odhiambo wewe. Hey, swag nini? Igwe.
Thank you.
Nanchi mzalendo.
Hey, go for my left side space.
Before I speak, first of all, it gives me great courage and enthusiasm to see all who have made their way here today. God bless Kenya. Allow me to first invite some of our partners who are here to stand here and just introduce themselves, who have made this possible. Please, our various partners, make your way here. Then, before I speak, I'll invite the Law Society of Kenya, Nairobi chairperson, Eric Kivuva, to also say a word.
That's a great job.
Comrades Power! On behalf of the movement, Amnesty International, we salute your courage, we salute your constitutionalism and your fidelity to the rule of law. What we saw was a breakdown in the rule of law. We saw the abuse of state power, and it is this movement that has corrected this moment for the nation and for the world. Thank you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Irungo Houghton, Executive Director, Amnesty International.
Viva, comrades, viva! More power to the people, more power! Down with police killings, down! Down with police brutality, down! Down with corruption, down! Down with Ruto, down! My name is Happy Olal, the convener, Social Justice Centers Working Group. Tuko hapa, Ruto must go. Thank you.
Some of you will be falling over if you don't sit down. Please take your seats. So I've been asked to also just to acknowledge some of the other people that have helped to put this together. This is a collective effort. There are many organizations that are on the poster, and there are many others that didn't get onto the poster. but were in support. Let me acknowledge the International Commission of Jurists, Kenya section, the Independent Legal Unit, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, a state agency committed to human rights. And to be honest, that is all they have been doing in the last 4 weeks. To the Defenders Coalition, who have protected and supported many of you here and many others. And also lastly, to Happy Olal, but also to the movement of social justice centers that were organizing all over the country to protect the protester. Thank you.
Comrades, power! Comrades, power! Power to the people! My name is Eric Kakemu Kivuva. I serve you as the LSK chair, Nairobi branch. And I am truly delighted today to be part of this gathering that I can only describe as a gathering of patriots, because for me, we have been brought together by the unfortunate events happening in our country, but maybe not so fortunate, because for the first time since independence, we will for once describe the country we want for us. We will for once describe the kind of leadership we want for this country. We will for once reset and even describe who a patriot is, because what has been happening is elections in this country has sanitized the worst of criminals, and we call them waheshimiwa. I am so delighted today. 13 years ago, this gentleman, Mr. Julius Owino, aka Giuliani, sang a song called Bahasha ya Ocampo. I don't know kama we remember that song. Niliponea bahasha ya Ocampo, oh, lakini kile naogopa hata zaidi, finger of God ikini point, yule 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 yule. And I think 13 years later, his prophecy is coming to pass. Walioponea bahasha ya Ocampo, the finger of God has caught up with them. It is now pointing them out and calling them out. But more importantly, we the people should not be an empty rhetoric. It should be that which we live as Kenyans. And in the first verse of that song, Giuliani makes the statement, ndio ujue vitu ziko wrong, pedestrians wanapisha gari kwa zebra crossing kupita. That is the country we've had for the last 13 years, for the last 60 years. But we, the people, must describe the kind of country we want and tell ourselves we will live in a country where the rule of law is supreme and we are all faithful to the rule of law. And fellow patriots, it starts with all of us being considerate to obey the list of things, including giving regard to a zebra crossing, including giving regard to traffic lights, If that is the country we want, we must be part of that change. Ladies and gentlemen, I am truly delighted and even more privileged because I know Madam President will be giving her keynote address, especially on the subject of we, the people. Thank you very much. God bless Kenya. God bless the movement. May we, patriots, keep at it and never relent in seeking for a better country. Thank you. Just before Madam President speaks, I have been informed that those who wish to register their complaints, the desk is just outside there on the left. Madam President, Faith Odhiambo, karibu sana.
Comrades, power. Power. I'm not feeling that power. Comrades, power. Power. Viva. Viva. Viva Kenya. Viva. Viva. Protect our constitution. Viva. Viva. My fellow Kenyans, comrades and colleagues, for decades our country has faced endless spate of unresolved extrajudicial killings associated with political spectrum. I remember Law Society was involved in collecting evidence for the last Mandamano killings. To date, we are still demanding from IPOA, why haven't you tabled that report? Why haven't you held those policemen accountable? Why is the Inspector General of Police still sitting on that chair? We all know about the controversial death of Pio Gama Pinto in February 24th, 1965. Very few will remember January 29th, 1969, where Agwins Kodek, a pioneering Mau Mau lawyer, died in a car crash under mysterious circumstances. The families of Pinto and Agwins have never known justice. And the same fate befell Thomas Joseph Adhiambo Mboya on July 5th, 1969. Have we forgotten J.M. Kariuki on March 2nd, 1975? Where is the truth about Bruce Roy Mackenzie's death on May 24th, 1979? We are here today to stand for justice for victims. We do not want to leave any man behind. The stories of those who came before us, the different regimes, the different decades, are testament that when political stars and fights come to an end, there are bodies that are littered in the streets. There are bodies that are left for our kin to deal with. Yet no one knows justice. No one sees justice for those victims. I would go on until the cows come home. And you will all see that each regime in this country has had its fair share of assassinations in an attempt to eliminate persons perceived to be standing for something that the political class do not want. Killing of innocent Kenyans on the streets started with Mzee Jomo Kenyatta on the dark Saturday of October 25th in 1969, when Jomo's visit to Kisumu turned bloody. We all know how many Kenyans died during the struggle for multi-party democracy under Moi's 24-year rule. Abductions, torture, and painful deaths did not start with this regime. The police have merely inherited the vice from generation to generation. And we are saying, does it stop in this generation? Yes. Does it stop in this generation? Yes. It must end in this generation. No more abductions, no more extrajudicial killings. President Mwai Kibaki presided over the worst tide of killings. We cannot forget about the 2007-2008 post-election violence. And we do not ever want to go back there. Uhuru Kenyatta too was no different, because every year the local newspapers reported how many people disappeared mysteriously in the hands of law enforcement agencies. And just when we thought there was a new dawn in this country, new hope, a country where the head of state was brought in the mantra for the young people, a youthful leader. We have seen police disappointing this hope. And we are demanding from the head of state that his promise that there will be no extrajudicial killings in his tenure, in his reign, that he may hold truth to that. At least if for nothing else, let people not die for standing for their beliefs. Let people not be abducted for standing for what they believe is right. And we are still demanding from him to ensure that all those who have been involved are arrested and prosecuted before our courts of law. The civil societies are struggling to put together the data of injured people, both from gunshots, crude weapons, and attempts to follow up on missing persons. We know that there are families that are still reeling in pain and anguish, and yet we want to move forward. We want to move forward, but we want to move forward with justice for everyone. These families should not be struggling with paying medical bills, struggling with fundraising to bury their kin. Yet we have a state, we have a nation, that the head of state has committed that they will be held accountable for each and every death, for each and every person who have been injured. I've visited people at Kenyatta National Hospital. Young men and women like you who now will never walk again, they have lost their hands. Where do they start? We cannot move on and forget them. For a nation to grow, we must move on together. And that is what we, the Law Society of Kenya, and coalition of all our partners here today are standing for. We want justice for each and every one of our members in this great country. Fellow Kenyans, today we want us to begin a journey of truth and justice. Today we walk back the hands of time towards tracing the whereabouts of our missing brothers and sisters. Walk with me as we seek justice for our fallen heroes of the leaderless revolution. We are going to ensure that we give our family the hope to wake up every morning knowing that their son or daughter, whose remains are buried in graves spread throughout this country, are not in vain. To that mother, to that aunt, to that sister, to that father, to that brother, looking for their loved ones, please come to us. We have created a network of social and civil rights defenders working together to unravel these mysteries. Let this be the last time that Kenyans will take to the streets in peace, only for trigger-happy policemen to flood the same streets with their blood and walk scot-free. The plan is to set camp at almost every county that experienced police brutality during our protests. I want to raise my greatest appreciation for my different branch chairs all around the country that mobilized their members upon my request and call to go out to the different police stations all around the country. That is why we've been able to make a mark. Each and every one of my branch chairs, my council members, and every lawyer who heeded my request and call are the heroes that I can sing proudly from the Law Society side, coming to defend the rights of Kenyans and fighting against any trumped-up charges, those who have been kept beyond the required period in prisons, and trying to ensure the safety and freedom of all Kenyans who had been arrested. There are so many people out there living in pain inflicted by the police. It could be mental health or just desolation. Please come out. Let our experienced team of experts offer psychosocial support to help you heal. Today we begin here at the historic Ufungamano House. We are coming to you all around the country. The Law Society of Kenya, together with all our partners here, have membership across the country, and with the support of our various branches and offices, have remained zealous and steadfast at protecting the Constitution. If we work together in this, then our defenseless families will not shed tears in vain. As a mother and a lawyer, I stand here today with a heavy heart of what we have seen the last few weeks, the numerous calls that I've received, those in distress, even at very wee hours of the morning. It shows to you the waning strength of so many members of the public. though in fear, some struggling, some in despair. But yet our young generation are still coming out strongly and firmly, affirming that we are standing for accountability, transparency, we are fighting corruption. We want to see a positive change in our government. Those who have been coming out are loyal patriots of this country. They are standing to see a change. They are the same James Orengos and amongst others who came to fight for multi-party democracy. This is a fight against corruption, a fight for accountability, a fight for transparency, which we must embrace as a nation to move forward together. Even in commemorating those of us who are no longer among us, it would be remiss of me not to appreciate each and every one of your zealous, ingenious, persistent, and unified sacrifice for our country. You are ridiculed, underestimated, threatened, and vilified, all in an attempt to break your resolve to reclaim your country. Through it all, you remained peaceful and focused on the noble objective of standing for what is right and what you deserve. Your courage is unparalleled, your patriotism unchallenged, and your unity against all political barriers unprecedented. You are exactly what you think you are. You are the heroes of today. The irrefutable gains of what you people stand for shines a bright ray of hope upon the future of our country. If you do not believe it yet, allow me to confirm to you that you people have achieved what many dreamed of and wished for, but few realized. A weak and unreliable parliament betrayed you, the people who they swore to represent you. Mlianguka now. A punitive tax regime was forced down the throats of Kenyans despite public outcry against the repressive finance bill. Mlianguka nayo. The political elite unified to run Kenya down the rabbit hole of treachery and deceit to deviate you from your resolve to bring change to Kenya. Namely, an ineffective, incompetent, and arrogant cabinet represented impunity and refused to work for the people from whom the power they exercised. And once again, today marks a crucial step in our progressive journey towards real sustainable change for our country. This is the onset of a series of deliberations by sovereign citizens of Kenya to reflect on who, where, and what we are as a country. The preamble to our constitution defines who we are. Article 10 prescribes what we ought to be, and the entirety of our constitution in its brilliant magnificence envisions where we ought to be as a nation. However, time without number, those to whom we have bestowed power and trust to deliver to us the dream of Katiba 2010 have failed us. Tumewapatia lakini wamekataa kuperform. Kenya finds itself in a constitutional moment, one where the people have reclaimed their sovereignty and are ready to rid of any individual, institution, or entity that jeopardizes the well-being of the country and defies constitutional principles. What started as demonstrations against the Finance Bill 2024 has spun into a domino effect that gives us an opportunity for change that is ours to lose. Shida zetu zikianguka bado, lazima zimeingia one lege. It is thanks to this realization that the Law Society of Kenya, all our partners and stakeholders have taken the obvious step to join all of you in forging the path on which we want our country set. Thank you for embracing us. Thank you for allowing us to stand with you, and thank you for allowing us to be part of you. My speech was quite long, But I wanted to also highlight that we have seen changes in the Police Service Commission. We have seen so many trainings, but now we are saying we are going to hold you accountable. We are not going to sit and start discussing a way forward for training, better institutions for police. It's time for accountability. It's time that those who have been given power and have abused it to be held accountable. That's why we are here today, to count everyone and ensure no one is left behind. That when we are challenged that who are these people, where were they hurt, which place, we'll be able to table credible evidence as advocates and our different partners, that we'll be able to put this at the table. That should be part of the discussion. Any dialogue must start with information and telling us these number of people that we have collected this data, what are you doing about it? And we know that IPOA will be coming today, that IPOA may also take responsibility and take that mantle. We will not allow you to continue to fail us as a people of Kenya. You must also take up your place and hold any police officers that have been identified, have been seen. You can't tell us that you cannot find them, yet our Gen Zs, our millennials, our youth, our fellow Kenyans are able to trace them and to find their details and have shared them with you, but you refuse to do your work. To independent institutions, the judiciary, constitutional commissions, independent offices, and statutory bodies, it is high time you stand up to be counted. People have been killed by police, but IPOA is yet to act. People have been outed for corrupt conduct by EACC is yet to institute relevant proceedings. The helplessness feigned by our institution is the greatest enabler for the tribulations we face. The hesitation and refusal by proper mandated authorities to take action in the face of subversion of the rule of law and constitutional principles is the reassurance upon which our aggressors act with impunity. Government frustration and refusal to cooperate are in no way, shape, form, or fashion unacceptable excuse. The people are with you, they will support you, they will help you finish the job, but only if you start doing it and doing it well. Na hata nyinyi mkikataa, Wakenya mtafanya nini? Lastly, to the political leadership and elected representatives. There is no honor higher than being chosen by the people to serve your country. That honor requires delicate, deliberate, impartial, and accountable exercise of that authority that is donated to you. Hubris and bravado are vices that have no place in the Kenya of today. The people of Kenya awake to their full authority as the true sovereign, and their realization of the beauty of their unity draws the curtains on divisive ethnic politics that has historically been endemic in this Kenyan's politics. It's time to become leaders, not rulers. It is time to represent and serve the people, not to be demigods desperate for constant praise and worship. It is time to act, not making unyielding promises. Henceforth, contempt for the people will neither go unnoticed nor remain unresolved. Gen Z wame? Hii ni tofauti. Gen Z wamegotha? We will not believe, you will not believe. From the Law Society of Kenya and all our partners, we make our solemn understanding that what we have done over the last few weeks have been fueled by the strength we have drawn from your courage. For as long as you stand for what you believe is just, fair, and right before the law, we will stand for you and will fight for you. Join me in this final prayer, the prayer for our forefathers, the prayer of our nation. We say the first stanza of our national anthem in English. O God of all creation, bless this our land and nation. Justice be our shield and defender. May we dwell in unity, peace, and liberty. Plenty be found within our borders. I pray that God bless you and God bless Kenya. Really?
hope all our heads will fit inside. Let me come on the other side of it. Will we all fit? Tunarudi chini ama we are here now?
Were we going back down?
Do we go back or stay?
Oh, I think you guys are
Where's the next panel here?
Yeah. Watatuita in case they need us.
Wapi bado? All right, okay. Thank you very much to everyone. Really appreciate
Just stand by.
President, perhaps the best president this country has ever seen. A better round of applause for Madam President, please. And absolutely, really great, the comments and seeing what we have to do today. I'd like to call us back to attention because we have a lot to cover today. My name is James Smart. Allow me to welcome all of you again for the second panel. On this second panel, we have Dr. Willie Mutunga, who's joining us on X-Space, the famous X-Space. All right, let's listen to Dr. Willie Mutunga, former retired Chief Justice. All right, Dr. CJ, please give us your comments.
Gen Z and millennials, thank you very much for what you are doing. There is, I'm in Kabarak actually, and there is a joke going around here, which I think I should tell you. Apparently, the president is going around looking for a general called General Z. This reminds me of Idi Amin going to the central bank looking for one of the workers who was called foreign exchange, who was never around in Uganda, and they wanted to kill him. So my comment, there are two comments that I want to make, and I've made them in other spaces. One is that what happened the other day, and I think this has been discussed, so I'm just reinforcing what we have always said for a long time, that the factions that rule Kenya cannot be described in the way we describe them as that there's one, faction that is the lesser evil, and that we have to choose evil. They have come together, they've shown that they are birds of the same political feather, and they have identified themselves as the enemy of the people. And that's progress, because we have had for the last 60 years or so the politics of division and the politics of monetization, which you must avoid, at all costs. And you have started a revolution. There's no doubt about that. And we wait and, we hope that you continue your political demands to emphasize, the concerns of your material interests and needs, education, health, jobs, struggles against foreign domination, housing, everything that is important for your existence. You posters have captured those particular issues in a revolutionary manner. I've loved the cause or the clarion cause, which you have called occupations. Even the occupation of IMF, and the World Bank, making that connection between our rulers and our external rulers is very, very, very important if we are going to carry on this revolution to its successful change. So I've also want to praise you for breathing life into the Constitution. We have a Constitution that, is fairly progressive, but we gave it to, leaders who find it inconvenient and they don't want to implement it. But you've come to the scene and you're basically saying that you want to exercise our sovereign power directly, and I think that's what is reflected in the various calls for occupations, whether it's the occupation of parliament, occupation of state house, occupation of I guess the judiciary and all the institutions. So these are great clarion calls, and so I just want to finish by again glorifying what you're doing and asking you to keep your eyes on the prize, avoid divisions, because the people you are dealing with or the class you are dealing with, you should never underestimate them. They are geniuses in politics of division, ethnicity, religion, and if that doesn't work, they also got plenty of money to stop this particular movement. So thank you very much. Aluta continua, and victory is certain. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, retired Chief Justice Dr. William Mutunga. They are giving us his thoughts. Let's get straight into it and introduce my panel for what we need to do next. Hussein Khalid, please join me on the stage. Irungi Houghton as well, join me on the stage. And Gloria Kimani of LSK Council member also join me on the stage. A round of applause, please, as they join me on stage. So for this panel, what we'd like to do is we want to capture reflections of what has happened in these last 4 weeks. There's been reported police excesses, there's been disappearance, abductions, illegal arrests, killings, injuries, and that sort of thing. And we haven't spent time as a country to capture exactly what has happened. What does that mean? In essence, are we saying that protesting is an illegal thing in this country? And if it's not, why did we see the reactions that we saw? Let me start with you, Hussein Khalid.
Thank you very much, Smart. And let me first of all congratulate everyone and the entire country. Comrades power! Comrades power! We're doing it, we're changing this country, and moving forward, things will never be the same. So I'll just speak briefly about my experiences on the ground as a person who has been visiting families, visiting the sick in hospital. I think there have been gross human rights violations in the last couple of weeks. Many families have suffered, continue to suffer. We have an entire ward at the Kenyatta National Hospital
of victims of police excesses, and that's just one hospital. We have other hospitals in different parts, not just of Nairobi, but of the entire country that have people who are sick. Up to now, you know, we're still trying to understand the magnitude of the violations that have been meted out on Kenyans. I think in the midst of everything, we get, you know, taken up by the success the dismissal of the cabinet, the withdrawal of the finance bill, and we forget to remember that people have paid with their lives and lives for us to be where we are today, and they must never be forgotten. In a number of instances, some were even, you know, approached. I remember we were at the burial of David Chege, and the police officers were there, and we had just gone there to drape the coffin with the flag and another flag to the family. And the propaganda that was going around was that this is supposed to be for the KDF only. This, you know, the flagging of the coffins and everything, and they were told that if you bury your person with the flag, the government will later come, you know, to exhume and get the flag, you know. So there are things that are being said out there that are completely out of line, and I think it's important for us, and we were discussing, to remind Kenyans that this is an opportunity. We are supposed to be extremely lucky and, you know, honored to be living in these times, because no other generation, this moment has never been there. So what we need to do is to continue encouraging each other and pushing each other forward. I think it was Kindiki who said that, you know, the financiers, fellow criminals, power! Fellow criminals, power! And I remember they were threatening us, oh, I don't know who, the financiers, the organizers, the planners, you know, you will face the consequences. Well, guess what? Hatutishiki, si ndio? Nani ameanguka, si ni wao wameanguka. So we are saying, you know, this is a moment, and each and every one of us can play a role. The question that we need to ask, what are you doing to bring forward this change?
Okay, Hussein, I'd like to come back to you shortly, but I want to get to Gloria first on the question of the flags and the killings and those who lost their limbs. But Gloria, on the question of people getting arrested for protesting, I remember seeing the first day or the Tuesday, droves and droves of people getting picked up and being put, you know, in police vehicles, carted away to police stations. I want you to talk to me about this moment, about what does that moment mean legally, and what was the violation with that moment, and why do we keep seeing it?
Thank you so much, Alan, for that. And I would like to say that the Law Society of Kenya has, that day, it was a sad day for us, because that Tuesday,